Hey everyone, once again here with Nicolas Miranda in our visas or Visado program, and we're here to give you a lot of information on the migration programs that exist in Australia. And today we're talking about the skill migration program. We're here with Nicolas Miranda, our registered migration agent, who has provided a lot of insights and useful information that you guys can actually find it very helpful. So Nick, welcome back to our video series, and we're happy to having you here.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Okay, fantastic. So once again, guys, we're talking about skill migration visas or a skill migration program. Before we can actually go into it, don't forget to hit the bell button and subscribe to this channel because it will help with the algorithm, but also will give you all the updates on this, let's say, on the migration program. That will always help if you're thinking about migrating into Australia. So today we go with more in depth into the skill migration program, and is the question that probably a lot of people ask themselves, and is what should I be, or what should I study, or what are those jobs in demand based on the occupation list and the qualifications that actually Australia is looking for.
Yeah, so we've kind of touched on this before, and I think we've given it like a little bit of context. So we have a skilled occupation list, which is generally across Australia-wide. It can be used for either general skilled migration, or it can be used for employer-sponsored visas. Now, we're talking in particular about the medium and long-term strategic skills list. It's a long word to say basically occupations that are in high demand in Australia. How is this list created? I think that's the most important thing. The list is created through the department, I think it's the Department of Employment, along with the Department of Home Affairs or Immigration. They get together, or they work together in putting together the skilled occupation list. What the Department of Employment is doing is basically doing projections 5 years, 10 years into the future, and saying these are the occupations that are going to be in demand in Australia currently right now, but they're going to be in high demand in the next 5 to 10 years. So based on those projections, the Department of Immigration creates the strategic skills list, or the occupation list, and they begin to list out the occupations and the industries that are in high demand. What we find is we have about 5 or 6 major industries that are in high demand in Australia. Do you think you could guess which ones they might be?
Technology,
yeah. So specifically, what we're looking at is informatics. So that's a real big one, actually. So there's about 220 occupations on there, but in particular, what we're looking at is software engineers, people who study computer science, people who have bachelor's degrees, and who end up being developer programmers, software engineers, ICT business analysts, things like that. So informatics or technology is one area. Can you think of any others?
I know something about agriculture. Is it?
Not so much. Okay. It is agriculture falls into a broader industry. So engineering and construction. Okay. Construction is a really big occupation list provider. So we're talking about all the trades, carpenters, plumbers, stonemasons, all the way up to diesel mechanics, or all these different occupations. There's about 30 to 40 trades on there. Then engineering is a really big one as well. So a recent statistic is that 40% of engineers in Australia are actually born overseas. So that's a big occupation that we're trying to fill all the time. And within that area falls agriculture as well. Now there's a few more industries. We have education, but specifically childcare, as well as secondary and primary education. Then we also have health. Do you know which occupation in health might be the most popular one? No, you
got me lost from the beginning.
So, so I'm quizzing you. Maybe you should be asking the questions and not me. So what we're looking at is nursing. Nursing is enormous. There's about 12 occupations of just specifically nursing that are in there. That's huge. That's a big occupation list provider as well. We also have health, so all kinds of occupations within health, from physios to osteopaths, all the way to doctors and a variety of doctors as well. So health is a big one. And am I missing anything? And then the final one is basically science or all forms of science. So we're looking at, scientists in general, biomedical, biological, different forms of science. I'll have to check the list and see if I can give any other types of scientists. So looking at botanists, life scientists, I've said, marine biologists, zoologists, food technologists, even environmental consultants are in there as well.
Oh, wow. That's actually a lot. Like when you're talking about the broader industry, actually gives a lot of ideas. And I believe a lot of people that will be watching these videos, or if you are watching this video and you're actually part of one of these industry, you have a good chance to becoming a permanent resident in Australia. So that's pretty good. But there's something that brings me, like you mentioned something that might take, like immigration goes between 5 to 10 years. I know you might not have the right answer, or not the right answer, but the exact answer because it's unknown. But how do I know if my occupation might stay in the list or might, not?
Yeah, so every year the department updates the skilled list, and every year before they do that update, they give us what's called like a traffic light bulletin, if you want to Google it. But basically, it's the Department of Employment coming up together and saying these are the occupations that we are letting you know are possibly going to be moved around. So we're going to have occupations moving on, occupations leaving the list, maybe some new occupations joining the regional list. But a good way to sort of start is to go to the Department of Employment, because basically there they have their own projections on that website that they do year on year.
Nick, that's something that we probably no one knows but you. I mean, by a migration agent or a registered migration agent. What do we do?
So it's the Department of Education.
Yeah.
It's the Department of Education, Skills and Employment is the official department. Now, what they do is they do every year they do a formal report where they look into what are the occupations that are going to be in demand, now and for the next 5 years, and they do a yearly report and they do projections on where they think these industries are going to go and where they're not going to go. And this is basically the best way that you can, it's all provided on the website. It's quite tricky to navigate, but you're able ultimately to find it. It's not that hard. But what you do is you basically get a big graph or a big spreadsheet, and you start going through the spreadsheet and they start naming occupations, and they put percentages next to them saying how likely they are to grow, how unlikely they are to grow. They also do a nice written, concise summary at the end, and that's usually what I use. And this is where they say, look, these are the industries that are prepared to grow. Within the forecasted projections, there's always hospitality in there. So hospitality, unfortunately, is not on the official skills list per se, but it is always ends up being on skilled occupation lists for states and territories, because they recognise that, we still need people in our states and territories to work in, cafe restaurant managers or, what other occupations, cooks and things like that. But that's the sixth industry that I always say is always on that list, and it's hospitality is a big one as well. So it is on the website, employment.gov.au. You can check it out.
Wow. I can only say that. Look, if you're watching this video, you can actually see how getting advice from a professional does help. And you can actually get information that probably you don't know, because this you don't get it from Google. I mean, yes, if you go and say a skilled migration, blah blah blah, department of, but how do I know where to find this and how to interpret this information? I'll definitely leave it to a professional, and I can see Nick, that it's probably you've been taught this, but also it's part of your experience, and that's also showing how much you know and how actually you analyze the things with each case. So that's actually very valuable, guys. I think it's great, and it's once again it's open information, but whether the information or is there. It's the problem is whether I actually know where to find it and how to interpret it. So, Nick, I think it's been one of the best videos for me about the skill migration, because you're giving us something that a lot of people, as I said to you, what if it doesn't appear? Do you think the projection But I thought there was an answer, and there is an answer, but there's knowledge and experience that has to be um, developed, I will say, or just I mean, I'm speechless. I think that's great. I have never heard about this. I probably have asked about these questions before to other people, probably migration agents as well, and they will say, "No, that's just it all depends on the immigration." Yes, it depends on that, but there's a foundation or something that you're basing your answer, and that's actually very good. Nick, once again, thanks.
You're welcome.
And million thanks for your sincere information and being open for us and all our listeners and viewers. So, guys, if you can actually see these, you should not leave this channel to be unsubscribed. I mean, subscribe to this channel, hit that bell button, share with your friends, and stay tuned, because it's actually very important. If you're thinking about migrating into Australia, look, this is the way to go. We get a lot of information here. Nick, it's given us all his time for us to ask the silly questions, but it actually creates a lot of sense in our way to migrate to Australia. So, Nick, thanks a lot once again.
No worries.
And guys, see you next time. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.